No, he was getting he was having some stinger issues, so he's getting that checked out. Yeah.
It looked like
you did. That's good. It's good you noticed that.
I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, he's just he was dealing with some things. His shoulder was bothering him a little bit, and so he was getting checked out today.
it looked like Terrell Lewis was out here
Yeah,
a bit today.
there he is right there. Good to have him back out there. Huh? Yeah, they're asking about you, man. So it's good to have him back out here, and he's dealt with a lot, being able to push through, Gary. So it was good to be able to get him back out here, and it's kind of a day-to-day thing. So we'll see how his knee responds to getting a little bit more work than he's gotten in the last month, and hopefully it doesn't flare up.
So what's going on with DeSean? It seemed like, I know you said he had a Veterans Day yesterday, but it didn't look like he was doing much with you guys today, team drill.
Yeah, we've just got him kind of on a, we've got him on a very specific strategic schedule leading into the 12th. So.
And is that just, kind of based on
speed guy at 34 years old, 35. However, it's amazing the way he's able to still run, and so, he knows his body really well, Gary. And I think the main thing is sat down with Reggie and Tyler and DeSean and really wanted to get a plan in place for the next 3 weeks. I guess it's in about 19 days or so, and so that's kind of part of the plan.
What about runner camp that was a new thing for him to experience, having a sort of the science worked out with him in that regard with the trainer because of some of the workloads he's had in other places.
Yeah.
What is that process like? How collaborative is it here between the player and Reggie?
Yeah, it's very collaborative with DeSean because he knows his body. He has a great understanding, Jordan. And DeSean and I know each other going a long ways back. And so he's able to communicate. He knows how to really turn it on. And, when he runs, he gets so much work in, where he's really accumulating high-speed yards. And so want to be smart with him. But it's always about a collaboration, especially with a player that's got as much experience as he does.
And what about Leonard Floyd?
Yeah, he's doing good. His ankle, he had a little bit of an ankle issue last week. All these days kind of run together for me now, but he's doing good. He's making steady progress. We're just kind of treating that each day at a time, but he'll probably be back on the field in the next couple days. I would imagine that it'll be a couple days though.
And then how do you think practice went today? I know you were a little bit frustrated yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know. Like frustrated is a strong word. I think you just want to see just clean operations all throughout. And for me as a head coach, if it's defense doing good for some stuff offensively, you're frustrated. Then on the flip side, if the offense is doing good, then it's from the defensive perspective. But I thought the level of urgency was really good today. I thought got a lot of different situations. I thought guys really pushed each other in a competitive, smart way. You see, finish it up with a 2-minute situation. A lot of really good plays by both sides of the ball, and then ultimately Jalen did a great job making a break up at the end there.
How their health is the number one priority in having them ready for the season, but how important is it for like a guy like Darrell Henderson, who's had kind of his history, has a little bit of a setback yesterday, to practice today? Is there anything to that in terms of you're back out on the field and?
I think you want to continue to accumulate that experience, Gary, and really, if you can push it in a way that's reflective of not making the injury any worse, that's something that we wanted to do. And so, credit to Darrell, he was out here today really pushing it. He got a thumb sprain, and that thing, they had a pretty restrictive, whatever, if you want to call it a cast or a brace, but it was good to see him out here. It is important. It's important to really have all hands on deck. But I think certain guys that have accumulated more experience than others, you don't ever want to pigeonhole yourself into a one-size-fits-all approach. But with Darrell, I think it is important to get him out here.
Sean, what about Jalen Ramsey's sort of growth personally and development personally over the last few years sort of matches with what you guys are now doing with him, doing more and more with him, it seems, year over year on the field?
Yeah, he's such a smart, instinctual player. I think he's got a really big picture grasp of what's going on, what's the intent behind these calls, and the different places that we can activate him is a real weapon. It's almost kind of like one of those jokers on offense that you don't know if he's going to be in the backfield, the slot, attached to the core, out wide as a receiver, and that's what Jalen is for the defensive side of the ball. And I think he's done a great job really taking command in the leadership role. I think he and Raheem's relationship has been fun to really watch. Those guys connect. Jonathan Cooley and E both do a great job with him. But Jalen is just continuing to assert himself as he's already been a special player. But I think just the different ways that you can utilize him, kind of similar to the way that he was utilized at FSU in his college career.
What are you guys looking to accomplish on Thursday?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really important. I want to push these guys, try to create a game-like atmosphere. You want to see the competitive situations. really be illustrated like they were today, Lindsey. But want to try to make sure that we're in as good a shape conditioning-wise as possible, and these are the types of settings where you can push it while minimizing the risk for injury. Now, we're still pretty banged up for how conscientious we've tried to be about taking care of guys, but I just want to be able to see these guys positively push one another, and then after that it'll start to represent, you're going to start to get into the early phases of the Chicago game planning.
Are you guys tackling those?
We won't tackle.
You're getting ready for your 5th, I think, season opener as a head coach.
Yep.
So do you feel like you've been doing this forever, or does this feel different every year? I mean,
every year is different. It is different. I think you try to use those first 4 years as learning experiences. It continues to resonate with me how important it is being around great people, like our players, like our coaches. But this year feels totally different than last year, especially given the circumstances. But really excited. There's been a lot of changes that have taken place over the last handful of years too, whether it was coaches, players, and that's always kind of an exciting thing is to build and develop those new relationships while also maintaining the foundation of a lot of the ones that you've spent the last handful of years really pouring into guys. And this year is definitely exciting, and I feel like I probably say it every year, but this is as excited as I've been for a season since I can remember.
Sean, any new updates on Raymond Boyd since yesterday?
Haven't heard any updates on him yet.
I'm not sure if you're able to answer schematically on this, but in terms of some of the ways that you guys prevented the ball from going deep downfield on defense, and the way that teams tried to then use the flat, things like that, is Jalen's positioning maybe a counter reaction to those types of things, like making him technically closer to the ball on more plays?
Well, I just think his range, if you're using him as an underneath defender where you're doing some things where you're catching routes from depth, or you're kind of putting an umbrella on the offense, his versatility and his range as an underneath defender definitely gives you that versatility, and you have the ability to defend a little bit more. But you're always mixing it up. There's different ways that will still kind of keep foundational principles to last year, but Raheem's got his imprint on this, and then you always evolve, because I think you're not naive to the fact that everybody's studying what we did defensively because of the success that our guys had last year, and so you have to be mindful of that from a self-scout perspective, and there'll be some things that maybe look familiar and some things that look very different also. Okay, thanks guys.
Six feet.
Yeah, back up off me, people.
6 feet.
I'm just kidding.
4 stops in a row there at the end.
We got a little clock issue. It is what it is. It's always fun though. Anytime you can simulate those type of situations, and you get that kind of emotion out of guys that have been playing this game for a long time, and guys that play this game at a high level, to create that in the practice field especially. I think Sean and our coaches and all the other guys, and everybody involved, our equipment managers, everybody, training staff, they do a great job of creating that game-like atmosphere, us being off on the side. All those things are part of you guys being here. It's fun to watch, and it's fun to be a part of.
What have you seen from Terrell Lewis since you've been here? What's kind of the hope for him, I guess?
It was really fun to get him back out today. Being his first day out for a while, in a long time, he has his up and down days when it comes to injury. He came back looking really fresh, feeling really good. Had a little bit of a setback, had to go back and get some stuff done, and then get him back out here today to get him into an individual setting to do all those things. And the hope for him is that he can contribute and help us on some of these rundowns first, and then hopefully develop some type of pass rusher that he has been. You're talking about a really good athlete that was a really good athlete for years, up until that injury, and then was able to fight back and find ways to still become relevant when it came to the draft. When you're talking about getting drafted and coming here, as far as that from Alabama, so I'm really fired up where he can go. I'm looking forward to see what he can do when he gets back fully healthy and ready to go.
How does I know you haven't played yet a real game, but how does this group compare to some of the units and players that you coached through your career?
That's always a dangerous question,
I mean, not better or worse, but I mean.
No, I know. It's just always a dangerous question, because you never want to compare, guys to any year. All those years seem different. If I tell you that I came in 2002 and we were in training camp and I told you that was a Super Bowl defense, I'd be lying. It just kind of, at the end of the day, I didn't remember the year. It was over and we had a Super Bowl ring, and that's kind of how it played out. And, no different than Atlanta, and we came out and we ended up having the best offense in the league. I couldn't tell you that was going to happen in training camp. but it just happened because of the guys, the unit, the camaraderie, all the things that you do in preparation, getting up to those points. And these guys are all headed in the right direction. Yesterday we had a little practice that disappointed our head coach. He was able to tell us to identify the problems. And then after that, it's our job as coaches and players to go out and fix them. So having the ability to do that here in this environment is great, no matter what the case may be. I talked to you guys about the uncomfortable conversation, and we had to have a couple of those today with people. And sometimes you don't like them, but sometimes you get the results you want, not just from as a person or as an individual, but as a team, as a unit, as a group. And all those things I think are just great. And when those things happen for us, is where I like to move forward. I like to be in the moment, stay in the moment, and take it one day at a time, getting ready for 19 days from now. And then we'll see how it plays out.
What have you seen in the progression of Ernest Jones?
It's really cool to see Ernest Jones. He got here, he was quiet, he was a sponge. Then we got a chance to see him play and go out there and actually apply some of that stuff that he was sponging up from some of those guys, the Kaisers, the Readers, even T. Howard, all of the other guys, the Rosebones, people that have been here, Javas, just people that have all the knowledge from him. He was willing to listen to just about anybody and everybody and gain all those things. So then you watch him go out there and you watch him simulate being the green dot and being in control. And he had a really successful game going out there in that first week. And then coming out the next week, he actually got a chance to go out there and back up a Kaiser and play in that next role and go out there and do some of those things. And I'm watching this, really his on-field demeanor and personality come to life in every day in practice. So when he goes out there right now and he's practicing with the guys, getting some first-team reps, playing with the second group, sometimes in the third field with the threes, it really doesn't matter. He's the same person every day, every time he gets a chance to get out there. So watching him evolve has been fun for me, it's been fun for our coaching staff, and it's been fun for everybody. Even our veteran players, they take notice when they see a guy playing with that type of demeanor and the type of intent that he's playing with when he goes out there and he plays in the games. It excites Ramsey, it excites Aaron Donald, it excites Floyd, and it definitely excites his team as he's playing with them.
Do you feel like he's on an accelerated pace or not so much? Or
You hate to say it's an accelerated pace. It's at the pace that he's setting for himself.
Yeah.
The better you go out and the better you perform, you think those guys got to be rewarded for those performances. And if he keeps performing the way he does, then he'll get rewarded for those performances. I always tell our guys, you get these roles and you don't have to like your role. But if you do your role really well, your role will increase. And as your role increases, then stuff happens. And the next thing you know, you got a 99 in Madden and everybody loves you. Now that's just the way it goes in this league, and that's just where it will always be.
Raheem, I think you maybe have had a unique perspective on how the nickel position specifically has evolved and changed over the last maybe 15, 20 years. What is your analysis on that growth and that change?
So I will say this, being fortunate enough to coach Rondé Barber in Tampa, although I hate to reflect on the past, you're talking about the best star that I've ever been around, arguably between him and Antoine Winfield for being the best nickels that ever played this game. Charles Woodson tried to slip in there late and get some acknowledgement for that, and now you put Jalen Ramsey in there. But what you do see when those guys go in there, you see guys that are savvy enough to cover, you see guys that are tough enough to do all the dirty work that a linebacker can do, and then you see the athleticism of men that go in there and make plays that just make it happen. And Rondé Barber went there, he was a sack threat, he was an interception threat, he was a cover threat, he was a part of the run game, he keyed it like a linebacker, he played the pass like a DB, he was able to communicate like a linebacker, he was able to move around and play some safety positions from that spot to really be unique. And then those are some of the things that Jalen's just evolving into, and he's loving it, and he's one of those guys that can go anywhere. Outside, inside, outside linebacker, you can put him almost anywhere. It wouldn't shock me if he can play a snapper 3 technique the way he's going. He's just that type of special player.
How does that match that position specifically, the way you describe it? How does that match his personality?
He wants to be in the action. A lot of times when you're a shutdown corner, you've been a shutdown corner for so long, people have ways of getting away from you until it's the critical moments. And he's obviously stood up in those critical moments and made big plays. And that's why he is who he is. But every once in a while, you want to go get in the mix and get a little dirty, and get your hands in there, and be able to do some good things. And he's that type of player. You guys have seen how physical he can be, how well he asserts himself when it is a practice like today, and how he's really been practicing since I've been here. He's been a unique practice player. He's a unique gamer. Being able to watch that from afar and now being able to see it up and close every single day, and how well he motivates himself and how well he gets himself going every day, it's special. The things that are not said about him is what he does for his guys inside the meeting room. When he talks to those guys in the meeting room, he's just trying to explain what he's doing and what he sees. And he does it with his voice and his style and his demeanor. Those things to me are really special. And those are things I think will show up when he has the ability to communicate from that star position, talking to his guys around him.
You know, I don't want to if someone else has a question. Okay. I know you don't like to compare. You don't like to compare, but that's what we do.
No, I know.
And so.
No, I know. No problem.
I'll
say this to you. You can ask your question, but the problem with compare is I got to answer the question to Rondé Barber. Like, he's probably going to call me and tell me how he's this dude and that dude or whatever. But anyway.
And I think you addressed this when the first time we talked to you. We were talking about pressure to live up to what this defense did last year. And I know you answered it, but I'm going to ask you again because we're closer here. Because fans are going to do that. When things happen on the field, they're going to say that looks better than it did last year, or that's not as good. Are you aware of that, and how, if at all, do you?
There's only one thing, a determining factor for us, and it's winning. That won't change. How we compete, how we go out, how we do all the things that we need to do in our program. It's very important to us. When I want to go out there and be the very best. I'll be lying to you if I told you anything else. There's no secret. We got the talent, the makeup to go out there and win it all and win championships. Nobody's making predictions, but if we put our best foot forward every single day and let the chips fall where they may, I think we can go out here and do whatever we need to get done on the football field. And that's the only thing that should be judging you. I do care about the fans. It's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I do want them to be happy. I love when they get excited. I was excited this week watching those guys out there play. I don't even know who outside linebacker was. Was it Chris Garrett? Was it Flo? Who was the 3 technique? Was it Bobby Brown or was it Aaron Donald? It was exciting to watch. All those guys out there. Was that Bronte out there getting an interception, or was that Jalen or D. Will? Who cares? If those bodies line up and you go out there and you're going to put your best foot forward, no matter what situation. Sean McVay's program, no matter who's the defensive coordinator, there's going to be the same standards to go out there and win. You guys have do nothing but win since you've been here, and let's continue to do that.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thank you. Sean mentioned he mentioned yesterday wanting to rebound from some of the maybe more uncharacteristic things that were going on during practice, maybe lift the energy a little bit. What did you see in terms of that adjustment, and what did you see out there today?
Yeah, from the jump, the leadership, obviously when you have a day like we had yesterday where we were still able to get some good work, but just our standard is set at and these players have really set it there, and they've set the bar high to have practice where we're competing. Both sides are, working on maybe individual aspects of offense or defense or special teams, but it's really, the competitive, greatness that we can pull out of each other on both sides. And when the energy's high, that seems to happen, and we've got really, really good leadership on both sides of the ball, starting with our quarterback on offense, and then obviously there's 2 or 3 guys on defense that, their play speaks for itself, but obviously they're big-time leaders for us. And they lead us every single day, and obviously Sean prefers to have those guys leading from the front, and we had a good day because of it.
What do you want to see on Thursday for the scrimmage?
Yeah, I think it'll be big from a volume standpoint. We do a lot of periods in practice where we put caps on them, 6-play drive here for the ones, 8, 12, whatever it is. It'll be more play it drives off of special teams plays where, if it's a touchback 1st and 10 on the -25 and we're playing until either the defense stops us or, we're able to go down and score. If we could score in 1 play, we can score in 15 plays. But, it's a matter of that unscripted feel of us as coaches working substitutions and situations as they come up. Obviously the players, the volume of plays will be huge. The tempos we can activate will be huge and really start to give these guys, especially the ones, and a real feel of what it's going to feel like when we go on September 12th, because the joint practices were awesome, but there's so much organization that goes there with scripts and making sure you're not ever doing anything to put the other side at a disadvantage, because you're just trying to get good competitive work. But obviously when you play for real, September 12th, we're trying to go create those advantages when we can, but also just execute and be able to just kind of play the drives as they come.
As you get into crunch time on roster decisions, what kinds of decisions are you facing this year? Is it any different from other years? I know you can't give away too much detail.
Yeah, I don't. There's always those 2 or 3, discussions that are coming up. Lucky the way we do things here with Coach McVay. I mean, there's so much conversation and communication from the top down to really our whole staff, and guys really being able to voice their opinions. And with that, as a full coaching staff, we know how to put guys in positions to really, help make those decisions, kind of make themselves a little bit. And there's still spots out there. Our guys have done a great job competing all camp on both sides, really all 3 phases. And, whether special teams or, a depth spot on offense or defense is still up for grabs. That's a good thing at this point when guys are still competing, because that means we've had a really good competitive camp.
What do you see from the connection between Brian Allen and Matthew?
I think it's been awesome. I mean, Brian obviously, when I first got here last year, I watched tape of him playing early on, as a rookie and when he first got here, and you see just the physical traits, and you just hoped he would be, 100% healthy, ready to go, and he put himself in position through a ton of work and really dedicating himself to making sure he showed up here for training camp ready to roll. And it's been so fun to watch, because mentally he's always been a student of the game. He's always been somebody you felt like could really take that next step from a communication standpoint up front. Then you pair him with a veteran quarterback who prides himself on that communication and the dialogue with the center. And it's been some next level stuff. It's been really cool to watch, and we're really excited about where Brian's at, the camp he's had, and the season he can have for us.
Kevin, if you sort of harken back to the first touchdown pass that Bryce threw this last week, is that something that you guys had talked about in terms of his feet and standing in instead of kind of taking off and having the patience to let that play unfold?
Yeah, it even goes a step further than that. We kind of altered his footwork on that drop to kind of invite something from the defense that kind of played out like that, which I thought was, what we're really looking for at this point. It'd be great to go out there, score every time we touch the ball, but we're also evaluating, and that was one of the things we wanted to see. Could Bryce take some coaching points from, understanding, hey, I'm going to start this game, and I don't know how long I'm going to play. It could be a quarter, 2, 3, or the whole game. But can I take some of these coaching points to the game and help move the team with them and score points? And he was able to do that from the very early. Once we were able to kind of overcome some of those tough penalties early on in the game, we were able to kind of really solidify moving the football. And then what I liked was 2 of the 3 times we were in the red zone, we finished them with touchdowns, had a chance at a field goal on another one. And that was growth for that unit. Playing against, some ones out there, the Raiders had some of their guys out there, and our group really held their own and competed. And it was really led by Bryce running the show.
How can this offense be different with Matthew Stafford at quarterback as opposed to last season?
Well, I think it's always evolving. I think the quarterback position has a lot to do with that, because any good offense in the NFL, you're going to tailor it to what the quarterback does well. And obviously when you have all 11 working together, led by the quarterback, you can do a lot of things. But with Matthew's combination of his skill set, natural skill set throwing the football, the creativity at which he can see things and execute certain throws, and then the people we have around him. Guys that are really experienced in the system, and Cooper and Robert and Higgs, and then we've got some new players like DeSean and obviously Tutu and some of the other guys that we can activate different skill sets and really challenge the defense to defend all of our skill guys, with the quarterback activating multiple things out of multiple looks, tempos. Really, you could go a lot of ways with it. Really what Matthew brings is just such consistency to where, we can lay out a plan, how we want to attack somebody, and he's going to go execute that plan. And if we need to make in-game adjustments, in-drive adjustments, it's something that can happen in real time. And I'm really excited about it. It's just been so fun to be around him and just watch the way he's kind of embraced our offense while also, picking his spots to, put his own spin on it, and I think people will be able to see that.
We've seen DeSean brought along kind of cautiously during camp to make sure he's ready to go.
Yep.
For the days where he's going to be out there, do you tailor stuff to make sure he's a little more involved, or how do you approach that?
Absolutely. We make sure we look at things kind of in these groups of practices, not only just one day at a time, but hey, what's it going to look like for DeSean if he goes, these days in the calendar? We want to make sure he's getting work in, because it's all a matter of kind of building him up to when we get to the regular season. We feel like, the things we can activate with him and the different phases of our offense, he feels comfortable with it, because we know his skill set from his ability to track the ball and push things down the field to, run away from people with the ball in his hands. All those things fit. It's just a matter of his comfort level. So when he's out there, we want to expose him to just enough to make sure he knows he got that work in that day, but never too much to where it's a setback in the, the growth towards September 12th. It's a good question, though.
Good. All right. Thank you.
You guys good?
Thanks, Kevin.
Appreciate it.